Bring a light to the dark. We posted up out of park. We got a couple of signs. We bringing people to God. We turn and pray to the east. We never bow to the beast. We bring a prayer to the Sabbath and bid the people to feast. We bringing light to the dark. We posted up out of park. We got a couple of signs. We bringing people to God. We turn and pray to the east. We never bow to the beast. We bring a prayer to the Sabbath and bid the people to feast. Judah a lion. In Bethel we learned of Zion when our father fell asleep on the rock. Now we consider wide awake when we don't sleep on the rock. So still be snoozing and stone the builders refusing. Came back around just to bruising. I wonder who can get through to them. No one but the spirit. So I wrapped a couple letters in packages like a lyric. They distracted cause they heard we the actual people living. They counteract with conjecture. We battle axes and menaces. Limitless, it's a whole vibe. Me and my brothers come together like a whole tribe. Bashamayim, while my arms keep your soul tied to the Father through commandments till your soul rise. Lord knows. We bring a light to the dark. We posted up out of park. We got a couple of signs. We bringing people to God. We turn and pray to the east. We never bow to the beast. We bring a prayer to the Sabbath and bid the people to feast. We bringing light to the dark. We posted up out of park. We got a couple of signs. We bringing people to God. We turn and pray to the east. We never bow to the beast. We bring a prayer to the Sabbath and bid the people to feast. Maybe mix a few drinks, take a sip. That bottle is for the fathers that never got to be here. We live in prophecy clear. We walk in obvious fear. We see in Joshua trees that water saltier here. That's why we hardly can breathe. Our mental foggier here. The Father gon' have to burn it. These demons loftier here. Yo. Don't trip, every place that your soul's hit. Know that you're gonna be ruling these nations, don't quit. He who endures, he has faith. And he who retreats, he lacks patience. Remedial black faces, couldn't walk the line like Jack Chases. Blind leading blind, now that's Mason. I'm following basemen. Keep this living from in front of me. I don't wanna hear them words come because of me. I pray for grace to appear in the spirit just to come to me. Until then I'm moving humbly, Lord knows. We bring a light to the dark. We posted up out of park. We got a couple of signs. We bringing people to God. We turn and pray to the east. We never bow to the beast. We bring a prayer to the Sabbath and bid the people to feast. We bringing light to the dark. We posted up out of park. We got a couple of signs. We bringing people to God. We turn and pray to the east. We never bow to the beast. We bring a prayer to the Sabbath and bid the people to feast.
Passover. It's the season of holy convocations. Leviticus 23 and 4. Moses commanded the elders of Israel, strike blood across the door. The Passover, time to purge out the leavening and let the blood shine bright. Cause the first sons born of Israel was saved that night. 1 Corinthians chapter 5. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Luke 22 and 7 says that day must be fulfilled and the Passover must be killed. Now the Passover is holy and kept in honor, so you must be clean. The Most High covers that in Numbers 9, 6 through 13. Loins girded strong, staff in your hand. You must be haste and eat. Be sure those boots strapped tight and fast on your feet. Get rid of all the malice and wickedness in your heart. Be sincere to the word when you're breaking that bread apart. The Most High didn't come for the whole world, but Israel instead. Let's come together united in Yahweh and break this bread.
Change coming fast, days running past. We made runners ablaze and stayed numbered last. The pain that we display, you can't understand. That's why we move with the faith of David Abraham. We tryna pace where the apes be. Keys like HP, curses live at HD. Women chasing clout and brothers changing their faces. Screaming, oh God, send your son to save us. So tired of all the pain. See all my people in it. 'Cause living day to day is hard to face. I know that on that day you can release them chains. So give him all the praise and change. Change gon' come, change gon' come. Rather than the steps that change gon' come. Change gon' come, change gon' come. Rather than the steps that change gon' come. You know, change gon' come, change gon' come. Rather than the steps that change gon' come. You know, change gon' come, change gon' come. Rather than the steps that change gon' come. Yeah. It's time for a change to come to my people. 'Cause Lord knows that we're gonna treat it equal. 400 years of the same old ish. Rape, rob, kill and spoil, getting off the shit. Now check it, can barely wait for that day to come. Getting ready for that war, time to beat the drum. And to the ones trying to hold me back with bent up faces, just call me Master Eddie, trading places.
Change gon' come, and it's coming fast. I know change gon' come, 'cause this world won't last. I know it's so much hurt, and it's so much pain. But when them cherries come, just know the world gon' change. Why my people cry? 'Cause they tired of lies. That's why we face the east. Pray to Yahweh Shai. 'Cause change gon' come. Prophecy says that change gon' come. Yeah.
So tired of all the pain. See all my people in it. 'Cause living day to day is hard to face. I know that on that day you can release them chains. So give him all the praise and change. Change gon' come, change gon' come. Rather than the steps that change gon' come. Change gon' come, change gon' come. Rather than the steps that change gon' come. You know, change gon' come, change gon' come. Rather than the steps that change gon' come. You know, change gon' come, change gon' come. Rather than the steps that change gon' come.
Look, we've been trying to get up out of this, but we've been too busy worshiping some nonsense. Jesus, we want change to happen real quick, but we are stiff-necked people and we don't give a shit. Our women all up on Instagram, shaking and twerking their ass like they don't give a damn. And if we really want change, we gotta open our book and be baptized again. We gotta change.
So tired of all the pain. See all my people in it. 'Cause living day to day is hard to face. I know that on that day you can release them chains. So give him all the praise and change. Change gon' come, change gon' come. Rather than the steps that change gon' come. Change gon' come, change gon' come. Rather than the steps that change gon' come.
Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. All right, giving all glory and honor to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. We are the Anointed House of Saints. All right, listen, I'm only up here for 2 seconds. Then I'm going to hand it over to the brother Yahweh, man. Well, first and foremost, all right, you got to like the video when you enter the building, Baba Cashapp. Make sure you subscribe. All right, got to do that for us. All right. Hey, check this out. Passover coming up April 3rd. All right, we're going to go ahead and tell y'all where it's at. It's in Atlanta, Georgia. All right. So make sure y'all getting your plane tickets, your train tickets, your boats, whatever you got to get situated. All right.
Whatever.
Meet us in Atlanta. All right. For our first Passover as a camp, man. All right. Come support. Come bring in the feast with your brothers. All right. April 3rd. You want to get there that Friday before, though, because it's going to be a whole weekend. So y'all go ahead and get that straight. All right. I just wanted to get up here and tell y'all that. Go ahead and start sending your emails to RSVP. All right, we're going to have live performances the whole 9 yards. It's going to be a good one. All right, so AnointedHOS@gmail.com. Once again, that's AnointedHOS@gmail.com. All right, the good brother Yahweh got an excellent class, so I just wanted to get up here and tell y'all about Passover, and I'm going to get off this thing, man. Shalom, brothers.
Shalom. And shalom to the family, to everybody who's in attendance. Hey, shalom to everybody. Yahbashim, Yahshai Barakatham. To the brethren, to the sisters out there, the Akroth, and to all the Akim. So yeah, tonight is, y'all already know, it's Wild Out Wednesday. So we're gonna be discussing some things about this crooked, dirty country, man, and the Psyops that they've been running. So we're gonna talk about that. But before we do, I'm gonna let the brothers introduce themselves.
Yo, shalom, Israel. It's Captain Squat.
Shalom, shalom. This is Soldier Knock in the building. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom, and Shemaiah.
Shalom. Hey, and you know what? That song that was just on, that Change Gonna Come, man. I love that, man. I love that track right there. And y'all did y'all thing on that. Real talk.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put a part 2 on this. So we can get you on there, Cap.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got to. I told y'all I was lightweight mad. Y'all ain't had me on the first one, but that's all right though. Y'all did y'all thing with it. So without further ado, we gonna get into it. This is really more of an informational lesson. Of course, we're gonna hit some scripts, and if y'all brothers got precepts, call them, bring them out, and let's edify the people. So what I'm talking about tonight is Psyops in the black community. All right. In the chat, if y'all know what a Psyop is, put a 7 in the chat if you know what a Psyop is. I know y'all brothers probably know what it is. Already off top, what we're gonna be discussing, dealing with wicked Esau, man, and what he does, what he's been doing to our people, right? How he's kept us disenfranchised, amongst other things. And then, you know what? My bad, Salaklia, because I didn't go through and I didn't give shout outs to everybody who's joining us tonight. So before we do that, I do want to give some shout outs to the people. In fact, Shaquat, man, holla at the people.
Khan, shalom, Joanne Gilchrist. Shalom to the sister with the Hebrew name we can't pronounce.
Ayasha.
Shalom, Zanaya.
Hey, sis, we still waiting for you to come out and feast with us too.
Khan. Nadabia. Shalom, Mark. Shalom. Kodar, shalom. Sister Michelle, shalom. Kodash, Kazakia, shalom. Brother Knock, we see you. Who's next? Let's see. Let me scroll down. Sister Bree, how you doing? Shalom. Brother Yawasop, Yaiquab. Sister L. Israel Issachar, shalom. My man, DTA Twan. What's up, man? Shalom. My brother Boaz. Aharon, shalom, shalom. Abaya, shalom, sis. I hope that show goes good for you. Who else? Let's see. Ariel, I hope I said that right. Ariel. I got Aran. Let's see who else. Zanaya, we got that. Sister Carla, shalom, sis. And James Collier. Is that how you say that? James Collier. Let's see.
I think that's we done got everybody. A shalom to everybody again who's joining with us this evening. So I know it's late out there on the East Coast. I know it's 9:20. So Salaklia for getting started a little bit late. But thank you for bearing with us, for your patience. It ain't gonna be long. Like I said, we're gonna get in, we go speak some truth to what Nadab Yab, he hit it. Psychological operations, right? So we go get into that because our people, this country has been waging psychological operations on us since we have touched down into this country. Since we've been over here, this country has constantly been raging psychological operations against our people. And so we're going to bring that out. And, man, we're going to continue to push forward so that change comes, man, that the brothers was just rapping about. That change going to come, man, because we're waking up our people here today, right? So let's get into this. Psyops in the black community, all right? You can see, like, the pictures on the slide. I went from it's still, brothers embracing each other, but you can see the difference in the demeanors, right? And how they're embracing each other, right? From one picture to the next picture, you can see that there's there's a shift, and that shift has happened throughout our culture. Throughout our culture, that shift has happened, right? Let's see here. So first of all, let's go ahead and define it. I know we have brothers put it in the chat about what a psyop is, but let's get it. Let me get a brother to read that for me, Baba Cashapp.
Khan.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I got it. So it says, what is a psyop? Psychological operation. Psychological, of, affecting, or arising in the mind, related to the mental and emotional state of a person.
Right, so that's the psychology. And don't get it twisted for 1 minute. These people have been studying our minds again since we got over here, right? They've got all their psychological data, you know, where they came up with different what's the word I'm looking for? Not diseases, but disorders, right? So they've come up with all these different disorders that they want to put on people, that they want to put on brothers, that they want to put on sisters. Like nowadays, they want to say that brothers either have attention deficit disorder, right? They've got all these things in their little manual, right? Their psychology manual. But psychological is, again, it's affecting or rising in the mind, right? Mental state. Okay. Read operation.
Operation, usually a military action, mission, or maneuver, including its planning and execution.
Right. So now you take both of these, you put these two words together, right? You got for mental, and then you got the operation, where again, operations usually military action, right? And it was one slide that I did want to throw in here, but I didn't get it, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now. The FBI director, J. Edgar Hoover, way back when, I want to say it was in the 60s or the 50s, this devil came out and said that the biggest threat to the United States of America is Black unity. Now, this is the director of the FBI. Okay, if the FBI, the director, the head of the FBI comes out and says that the biggest threat to the United States is Black unity, what do you think they're going to do?
Destroy it. Break it
They're
down.
going to try to destroy it any way that they can, right? That's where that, even though it's military, I mean, they was putting military tactics, using guerrilla warfare tactics to bring down our people, to bring down the movements that were uprising, that were starting, all of our prominent leaders, right? Hey, that's why the Most High had to tell us, hey, that no man was going to deliver us from the captivity that we went in. When we went into the captivity, no man was going to deliver us from it, right? Point blank, period. So everybody that's looking for that Black Messiah, there's only one Black Messiah, right? You know, they was calling Fred Hampton Black Messiah. No, Fred Hampton is not the Black Messiah. Huey P. Newton is not the Black Messiah. Martin Luther King is not the Black Messiah. Not Malcolm X, not Louis Farrakhan, none of these brothers. Okay. There's an echo. Who's that? I wonder, does that mean? I'm gonna go hit mute real quick. Hey, Shaquat, speak.
Khan. Go ahead and read Psyop.
Khan. Psyop. Military actions designed to influence the perceptions and attitudes of individuals, groups, and foreign governments.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose of psychological operation is to induce or reinforce behavior favorable to a nation's objectives.
So, y'all people that be on Facebook, Instagram, you know, they monitor all that stuff. So when, you know, you might be searching for a flight on Google Flights or something like that, right? And all of a sudden you start seeing flight ads on your phone, or you might be having a conversation with somebody and all of a sudden you see a pop up on your Facebook or your Instagram or TikTok or whatever the case may be. This is stuff that they've been doing. They're trying to figure out foods, what type of stuff you like to work out, the clothing, like everything, man. So you got to pay attention to what you say around people, what you looking up. I believe now Google has what is it called, incognito mode or something like that. But ain't no telling how good that even work or whatnot. So, they do this stuff all the time. They've been doing this stuff. Is that was that you, Yahweh? Was that your echo?
I don't know if they were still hearing that echo or not. I don't know.
Oh, let me see, because it's usually me. I don't know why it is, but let me see.
All right. So, I mean, just to land me back off of what Shaquat was just saying about they're looking at everything that you do on the internet, right? So I seen this. It says the Pentagon has ordered a review of U.S. Psyops on social media. So like he said, they're monitoring all of it. They're monitoring your Facebook. They're monitoring your Twitter. They're monitoring your YouTube. They monitor everything, right? And all this data is going back to them. Go ahead.
How many of y'all put a 7 in the chat? How many of y'all did that AI thing where turn your face into like a cartoon or whatever the case may be? Put a 7 in the chat if you did that, right? Because I see most of y'all on Facebook and I see all the new AI photo ops they did. You download the app and you uploaded like 8 or 10 selfies. Then they put you in some type of different clothing and look all artsy and stuff. This is from what I read about 3 weeks ago. They was getting facial recognition, so they can see who you are, and all they got to do is drag your face into a web browser or a search engine like Google, and they can come up. They do a face analysis, and they can get your name, get who you are, where you live, where you from, all that kind of stuff, man. So like the definition say up there, man, it's influence the perception and attitudes of individuals, groups, foreign governments. The purpose of psychological operations is to induce or reinforce behavior favorable to a nation's objective, man. So all the stuff that you're doing on your phone, you got to be aware of what you're doing. I think somebody said in the chat that they was doing, I think it's dark mode, I think it was, where your IP address is hidden and all that stuff. So just be aware of what's going on, man. Just be aware.
That's right. So let's get on to this next slide. So like I said, so this country has been performing psychological operations on us since we touched down back in 1619. And I found out in doing the research, there's some crazy information out there. When you actually stop and start digging, you'll come up on so much information. It'll blow your mind, the information that you'll come across, and it goes back to that old saying, if you want to hide something from us, put it inside a book, or, put it in something where the brother or the sister got to read, because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to want to deal with it. They're not going to want to do it. But again, for the purpose of time, I've really condensed a lot of this because I really just want to point on one specific fact. And that fact is that these people are programming the minds of our youth. That's what they're after. They're after the youth. All right. But here's a quote. All right. And we're going to go into this also too. But like I said, since we've come over here, it's been a psyop that's been happening to our people. Right. Shemai, can you read that quote?
Khan, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves, by Willie Lynch.
Right. So Willie Lynch, wrote a full manual about dealing with or controlling, right, black slaves, so-called black slaves. Now, we're going to look at some of the tactics that he improvised, or the tactics that he implemented, excuse me, not improvised, but the tactics that he implemented in controlling black slaves. All right. So I'm going to bring up this PDF, and we're just going to look at some of the things that, you know, this devil did, what all these devils was doing to our people. Hey, real quick, throw a 7 in the chat if you read Breaking the Curse of Willie Lynch. How many of y'all are familiar with that?
Con, the Willie Lynch letter.
Con, very familiar with it.
Con, put a 7 in the chat if you read The Curse of Willie Lynch. All right, I see some 7s up in there. So we're just going to look at a couple things in this. So can y'all see that? All right, cool. All right, so let's look at this. And so when was this? First of all, this was, in fact, hold on. So Willie Lynch gave this to the slave owners in the year 1712. In the year 1712, they brought him over here to North America to help them in dealing with their black slaves, right? And so again, as y'all can see right there on the slide, your mind has been the battleground. It's been the battleground for this other nation. Is that me that's echoing?
I don't hear an echo.
Hey, you don't hear an echo? All right, they're saying,
yeah, I hear echo.
Yeah, some feedback. There might be. Hold on, let me see. All right, that might, hey Shaquat, that might be you. Yeah, because I don't hear that echo no more.
Yeah, I don't hear anymore either.
All right, Con. Yeah, that's you, King. All right, so again, your mind has been the battleground since 1712. Actually, since 1619, right? When the first slaves came over here to the United States, landed in Virginia. Now, I'm gonna blow your mind, and we're gonna be bringing this out later on in the future too. But some of those first slaves, it was 20 of them that was brought over here that hit Virginia. They were indentured servants, right? And after they was going to serve their servitude, so they came over as indentured servants to pay for their trip over here. But now they ended up giving them a life sentence. They end up, it went to court and everything. They got the court transcripts. It was a couple of white indentured servants and a couple of the so-called black indentured servants. They ended up getting in trouble for trying to leave early or something like that. They ended up adding an extra 4 years to Esau, to the two Edomites who tried to escape. They added 4 years of indentured servitude onto their time. But to the Jakes, they say, hey, nah, you're a slave for life now, right? So, and I'm going to bring out that article too. I'm going to bring out those court cases and show you guys what was going on, what was happening. Man, it'll blow your mind. But again, let me go back to this Willie Lynch letter. All right, I'm going to just hit a couple of highlights on here real quick, and then we're going to keep it pushing. So let me get we gonna sorry about that, Salakia, right here. All right, so this is the quote that Shemaiah had read, right? This is a quote by Willie Lynch. Go ahead, read that for me one more time.
Con 1. I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if it's installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years.
All right. So he said that if his method is used correctly, he guaranteed that it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. Now let's stop and let's think about that. So again, those first indentured servants, slaves, came over here in the year 1619. Willie Lynch brought his foolproof method, gave it to the slave owners in 1712. What's 300 years in addition to that? What would that put us at? In the chat, where would that put us? If they started implementing this, let's say that let's give it a couple years before the implementation actually really got going. Let's say that they didn't really start going into it until 1715. We'll be generous. We'll say 1715. Oh, no, let's not do that. Let's keep it 1712. They started doing this in the year 1712, right? He said that it would control the slaves for at least 300 years. So on a timeline, you added 300 to the year 1712. What does that put us?
You want
what year? Go ahead. I can't hear you.
2012.
Kind. 2012, right? If this was implemented, if his system, what he said, his foolproof method, right, worked, then it would control the minds of the so-called black man and black woman for 300 years. That will put us in the year 2012. Can you not see that our people's minds are still destroyed? That our homes are still destroyed? His implementation, his foolproof method worked. And it worked to a T.
Still work.
It's still working, right? We're in the year 2023 now. It is still working. He said he didn't give a maximum. He said at least, right? He said at least 300. So that's the lowest amount, right? So obviously, his method is still
no.
Right? Squad, you got to mute again when you're not talking. All right. Let's go right here. I want you to read that what I got highlighted in the red. Knock, bring that out for me.
Con. It says the black, I'm going to say that means slave instead of sow, right? The black slave, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands.
Right. Hey, so he said, for hundreds of years, maybe thousands, that this was going to continue to be passed down throughout the generations. It was going to carry on. This method that he implemented was going to be carried on for generations and generations, right? Now let's get into some of the implementations that he put in. All right, let's read this. Read that highlighted for me. It
says by the Black Arcade Liberation Library, 1970. It was in the interest and business of slave holders to study human nature and the slave nature in particular.
Right. And so that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about psychological operations. So what did they do? They studied human nature. They studied the human nature of the slaves. They studied to see how we reacted. They studied to see how we would react. Right? They studied to see what we would do. Right? Our enemy, because that's who it is, Our enemy has been studying us for years, right? And when we fast forward to today's time, right? We fast forward to the 1970s, to the 1980s, right? The crack epidemic, right? To the 1990s, right? To the 2000s. We can see progressively our culture just getting worse and worse and worse. We can see through things like the crack epidemic, where the CIA had an involvement in it. That's common knowledge, right? You can go and pull up those documents and look at them and read them for yourself. I've got them, but those are some extremely long documents, and we're not going to get into that. But the CIA had a hand in putting crack in the neighborhoods, putting crack in cities like Oakland, putting crack in cities like Chicago, putting crack in cities like Detroit. Right? They've given us the means to destroy ourselves. And we've been doing it. Right? Let me read where'd it go? This right here. Read this one for me. In fact, I'm gonna go up to the paragraph right before it.
Let's make a slave. When we do it with horse, we break them from one form of life to another.
Oh, Salakia, my bad. I want you to start up here.
Talking about the origin and development?
Right, Khan.
Okay. The origin and development of a social being called the Negro. Let us make a slave. A slave. What do I need? First of all, we need a black nigger man, a pregnant nigger woman, and her baby nigger boy. Second, I will use the same basic principle that we use in the breaking of a horse, combined with some more sustaining factors.
Mm-hmm. Read on.
When we do it with horse, we break them from one form of life to another. That is, we reduce them from their natural state in nature, whereas nature provides them with the natural capacity to take of their needs and the needs of their offspring. We break that natural string of independence from them and hereby creating a dependency state so that we may be able to get from the useful production for our business and pleasure.
Right. So they are looking to break, or they looked to break us in the same fashion that they broke a horse, right? To make us dependent on them. When you look at a lot of those old time slave movies, and you got the house niggas and then you got the field niggas, right? Even though the house nigga was more prone to want to grab on and latch on, cleave on to master, there was field niggas that was the same way too. No, we can't do that. When rebellion started, it wasn't just the house niggas that didn't go with it, that wasn't down on for it. It was field niggas out there doing the same thing. No, I ain't going. I'm not gonna leave. Right? They made us dependent on them. That was one of the ways of keeping us enslaved, because we outnumbered them on the plantation. We had the bigger numbers on the plantation.
All the time.
Right? But we were psychologically dependent on them. Now watch this. I want to get this right here. Read that. Right. This is one of the ways that they broke us down, and they made us fearful to go against them. And I'm gonna relate this to current times as well too. But read that for me.
Take the meanest and most restless nigger. Strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male niggers. The female, the nigger infant, tar and feather him. Tie each leg to a different horse in opposite directions. Set him on fire and beat those horses to pull him apart in front of the remaining niggers. The next step is to take a bullwhip and beat the remaining nigger male to the point of death in front of the female and the infant. Don't kill him, but put the fear of God in him, for he can be useful for future breeding.
Don't they still do that? The police, right? Aren't they still taking our men, beating them down in the middle of the street? What they do with George Floyd? George Floyd was a big dude, right? But they put the fear of God in brothers. Don't want to jump in, don't want to help don't want to help their brother out. And that damn devil with his knee on his neck the whole time is just looking at the camera with a smirk on his face. What you gonna do about it? Nothing. And so what does that do? That filters to everybody else. Now when you see people getting snatched up, don't George Floyd me, don't George Floyd me. Right? And they're instantly compliant. And I'm not saying that we got to be combative. No. Hey, the scripture says agree with thy adversary quickly. But what I'm saying is the same practices that they implemented in the past, they still implement those same things. They still try to embarrass brothers in front of their women. They talk down to us in front of our women. If any of the brothers that's been in the chat, in fact, put a 7 in the chat if you've ever been degraded by a cop before in public. Me personally, I have. I've been embarrassed in public facilities by the police. I've been handcuffed. I had them down there hog tie me and put me in the back of a squad car in front of a Denny's.
That happened to me too.
Right? You see what I'm saying? It's the same practices. Look at that. 7s all up in the chat. It's the same practice. It's still the same tactics that they used back then. They still use those same tactics now. Y'all see the video of the Hebrew sister. This was a sister. She had on fringes. Cops socked her in the face. Oh, no. Salakli. I got that video mixed up. The cop body slammed the sister inside of a Walmart. Body slammed the sister inside of a Walmart. I got another video. I'll show it on another Wild Out Wednesday. In fact, if I wasn't doing this class, I would have showed it tonight. But a male cop punches a sister like 3 times in the head. It's two white cops. The sister was at a McDonald's. She asked for some extra sauce. And now you know nowadays, like if you ask for extra sauce, they that's 25 cents, 30 cents. You know, like that's gonna make a brother change his mind whether he want another sauce or not. Right? So the sister asked for another sauce. Chick was like, oh, it's gonna be $1, or no, it's gonna be 30 cents. She said she gave her $1. The girl didn't give her a change. She's like, yo, where my change at? And give me my sauce. Anyway, she ends up having words with the woman at the front, right? And the chick ends up calling the police on her. So them peoples come, right? They're outside talking to her. She's telling the cops the whole story, what happened. Oh, look, this, and the third, right? Cop says, okay, let me see your ID. She like, nah, what I gotta show you my ID for? I just told you who I am, right? I just told you what happened. Why do I have to show you my ID? Cop like, oh, if you don't show me your ID, I'm gonna arrest you for failure to disclose or who you are, or something like that. I'll show the video. And she's like, no, I ain't showing you nothing. And so the cop goes, oh, I find you under arrest. goes to try to grab the sister, arrest her. She's like, nah, what I'm under arrest for? The other cop, another Edomite, he comes over. He starts assisting, right? They get the sister. They got her hands behind her back. The one devil, while she's sitting up there, you know, like, why y'all doing this to me? He goes and takes off and punches the sister 3 times in the head, in the face, not just in the head, in the face. A fully grown armed man punching the sister in the face, right? She's sitting in the car. Her mouth is busted. She got blood coming all out of her mouth. She's in handcuffs. There is no reason why a fully grown man has to hit a woman like that. But that's what they do. And they do it routinely to show us or to keep us in subjection. And brothers, if y'all got anything, like I said, hey, come on, shoot it out. Right? Read this next paragraph.
I'll read it. It says the breaking process of the African woman. It says, then take the female and run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desire willingly. Test her in every way because she is the most important factor for good economics.
The sisters, they said the sisters are the most important factors for good economics. Ain't that something? Right? Keep reading. I'll go into that in a minute. Right. Keep reading.
If she shows any signs of resistance in submitting completely to your will, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract the last bit of bitch out of her. Take care not to kill her, for in doing so, you spoil good economics. When in complete submission, she will train her offspring in the early years to submit to labor when they become of age.
All right. So same thing as nothing new under the sun, as it was then, so it is now. Right?
Salakia.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to bring this precept out real quick, man. She was talking about how the police was doing this and doing that with, doing stuff they ain't supposed to be doing, punching us in the face and tasing us and all that kind of stuff, right? This is Psalms chapter 10 and verse 2. Said the wicked in his pride doeth persecute the poor, right? So when brothers is out and they, oh, let me see your ID. And we're like, man, we ain't got to give you our ID because, we ain't do nothing wrong, right? So now it becomes a ego thing. It becomes to see who has the biggest ego, And of course, most brothers don't know their rights. You know what I mean? Most brothers don't know the law. So when the police is like, oh, let me see your ID, and you say, I don't want to give you my ID, I don't have to. They're gonna make up some bogus stuff. Or we doing an investigation on this and doing an investigation on that, So if you don't give me your ID, I'm gonna take you to jail, right? So I'm gonna read this again. It says Psalm chapter 10, verse 2. The wicked in his pride doeth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. So at some point, we're gonna have to the revolt. I mean the role is gonna have to reverse, right? They got some crazy laws, crazy devices that they use. Taser, at some point, when are we gonna stand up for ourselves? Number one, stand up for our people. Number two, right? Because I personally can't sit there and just have somebody be tased and just sit there and watch it, or a sister get punched. You was talking about the video, the sister got punched in the face in Walmart, right? Or got slammed in Walmart. Me personally, I would have to stand up and say something or try to do something. I would have to sit there and try to protect the sister. You know what I mean? So these people is wicked, bro. These people is wicked, man. Yeah, I'm gonna yield there.
Facts. All right. Read this paragraph for me.
Con,
Go ahead.
Con, the one that's highlighted?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced here in this breaking process of the female nigger. We have reversed relationships. In her natural uncivilized state, she would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male.
Right. They said they reversed the relationship. Right. So how it was before, the women looked to the man for security. That's our job. That's what we're supposed to be there for, right? For security, for protection, to lead, to guide, to teach, to instruct, right? That's the natural order of things. But this was to reverse it, right? Read on.
In her natural uncivilized state, she would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male, and she would have a limited protective tendency toward her independent male offspring, and would raise the female offspring to be dependent like her. Nature had provided time with this balance.
So lucky.
Go ahead.
That sounds like an independent woman to me.
All day.
Roles reversed.
All day.
Roles reversed.
Right.
That's right, man.
All day.
It's just it's a domino effect, man. You don't need no man. You don't have no man in the house. And you raising your kids to see that and to be a part of that whole cycle. When the woman or the little girl gets older, she's gonna be doing the same thing, teaching her kids the same exact thing. I told my brother one day, like, because we grew up in the projects, right? We grew up in the projects, and we had a conversation about how the government, set this all up for us, right? So long story short, I say, if you look at women or mothers that's on Section 8 and that has government assistance, 9 times out of 10, the daughter that they have is going to be in the same cycle, right? And that's exactly what the Willie Lynch letter has done to our people, man. So yeah,
We'll get into that. We definitely will get into that. Because again, our people got to understand that this, like you just said, it wasn't by accident. It's not by accident the way we are today. This has been planned. It's been thought out. We deal with a crafty enemy. In fact, what it say in Genesis? In fact, grab that. Somebody grab that for me real quick. What's that? Genesis 3. I think I want 3 and 1.
God. This is Genesis chapter 3, starting verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made.
Right? The serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. What does subtle mean? Somebody grab that definition for me real quick, Baba Cashapp. Right? Because we deal with a crafty, subtle enemy.
That's right.
Psalm says they have taken crafty counsel against us.
That's right.
Right? This is a crafty. Everything that's happening to our people has been well thought out. We the ones that's not thinking. What brothers say? Hey, this is chess. This ain't checkers. Too many brothers out here thinking it's a game of chess. I love that video that Tupac did way back in the day, and not a video, that interview when they was talking about Death Row East, and he was like, man, if we was playing chess, we'd be yelling checkmate. And that's pretty much what this enemy done did, because we playing the wrong damn game. We talk about things like group economics amongst ourselves, but our people don't think like that. Our people don't think about, hey, we do need to segregate from these other nations.
We do need to segregate and turn back to the Most High. See, again, everything always goes back to the Most High. Because forget just segregating. I don't care if brothers say, hey, you can be, the 5%ers could talk about, oh, we need to segregate. But they off. They still off. It's not going to work without the Most High. We need the Most High. Right? And in doing so and following, turning back to this Bible, right? Coming back to these laws, right? Then the Most High is going to turn and he's going to fight for us. Did somebody grab that definition?
Khan, it just means cunning or crafty.
Cunning, crafty. Hey, these are wise people. They're not stupid. I mean, in a lot of, man, I remember when I was in the street, and it was we had went somewhere, and we was at a club, and now we had seen these Asians inside the club, and one of the homeboys was just like, man, you know, he was on some grimy type stuff. He was like, hey, yo, we should lick him. Let's get him. But it was another one of our partners that was there. He's like, nah, bro. Hey, them over there, it was an Asian gang. And he's like, man, they connected. You know, we don't want to just go and, you know, rob them. You know, just because we looking at them, those Asians, they soft. That's an easy come up. You know, a lot of times, man, our people, we just not educated in a lot of things, right? We're not educated to a lot of the tactics that the other nations do. We're not educated to the things that they put out in front of us to distract us, like the TikToks, right? Like the Instagrams. When we look at the algorithms about what comes on the TikTok over here in the United States, it's not the same algorithm that goes on over there in China. It's different. What kids over there in China see on Twitter or on TikTok, the kids over here don't see that. The kids over here, they're seeing women twerking. They're seeing women on cars shaking their ass. That's what they're seeing.
Independent woman.
Independent woman. In fact, let's bounce back to that. Read this.
The highlighted.
Con.
The ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen independent state.
All right, go ahead. Read the rest of that.
In the frozen psychological states of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring in reverse roles. For fear of the young man's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong.
Right. And so just like y'all was saying, right, that independent woman, when we see these independent households of young men being raised by only women, it was a design behind that. It's been a design behind that.
Con.
Right? For that young man to grow up and be dependent. For the young female, like Shaquat just said, hey, how's she gonna grow up? Well, she gonna grow up, the apple don't fall far from the tree. She gonna grow up being like her mama. She gonna grow up, she gonna be mouthy. Brother ain't gonna be able to tell her nothing. You ain't my daddy. She gonna want to pop off at the mouth every 24/7. She not gonna want to be dependent on the brother.
Salakia.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, Con. Yeah. So when you go, can you go scroll back down again real quick to the part where it says that she's going to be psychological dependent? So we see that, you know, because this was a planned scheme, you know, to control our women and our men, to take them further away from, you know, of course, the laws and commandments of the Most High. Our women don't even know today that they are supposed to be dependent on the man. They don't even know that. They have no clue at all because of all the propaganda, all the slavery and the changing of and that's why I said earlier when you said that it for good economics, what was the most important thing for the slave master to do was to make sure he got control of the woman. That's why it's better for economics, because she's going to make sure that everything stays where he can sleep well. Right. The man ain't going to do it that way like that. So you go after Eve, right? You change her state of mind and her psychological understanding and make her to believe even today that ain't no way that a man is supposed to tell her or lead her in any kind of way. And we know what the scriptures say in 1 Corinthians 11:3. Right. You know, that the head of the woman is the man. So we see that the crafty counsel is being played out just like over 300 years. We still see that our sisters don't even know that the positions, when they take on these independent positions, they're taking on positions that they were never, ever created to be able to perform in, period. They were supposed to be dependent on their husbands. And we see today that because they don't have understanding where we are with our families today. I yield.
Salaki. You said Salaki?
God, Adawan. And in those reverse roles, they're no longer dependent on us, and they no longer submissive. They dependent and submissive to the white man now. Mm-hmm. So they run to him. You know, they run to their lover to keep us, for they can keep their power and their control over us.
Section 8, welfare. Hold up.
Khan, Salakia. Get Deuteronomy 28 and 56. And then get me Ezekiel 16 and 44.
You said
the book of Deuteronomy.
Yeah, go ahead. Shemai.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 56. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil towards her husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and towards her daughter.
Yo, they done worked real hard for our women to not like us, to not love us, right? They done took the man out the house. If you want to get Section 8, your medical bills paid, food stamps, whatever the case may be, you can't have a man in your house. Which turns into, if the man's not there, there's no discipline, right? Now, some ladies might not agree, but a woman can't raise...
Hold that thought. We gonna get there.
Oh, real quick, give me that other precept. Because earlier you was talking about how the woman's gonna raise a daughter and she's gonna have a loud mouth and twerking on TikTok and all that kind of stuff, right? Read that.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 16 and verse 44. Mm-hmm. Behold, everyone that useth proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter.
As is the mother, so is the daughter, right? Like mother, like daughter. The mother gonna go be in the house. Oh, your daddy ain't ish. Yo, this, that, and the third. It's gonna be the same thing as the daughter grows up. I don't need no man either. If he can't pay 100% of my bills, I don't want to be with him. My husband got to make $500,000, right? All that crazy stuff, man. So as the mother, so is the daughter, man. And that's the thing that's affecting us, because we don't have mothers teaching the young daughters how to be women. Now we got some, they don't even have this. The young girls now, some of them don't even know how to cook. Right? They ordering DoorDash every night.
They don't.
They ordering DoorDash every night. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm gonna yield there, man.
All right, Khan. So I want to go into this. So, and like I said, I had to condense everything because it's just way too much information. So I want to get to the point of everything. But so after the so-called abolition of slavery, right, you had now the newly freed slaves had nowhere to go. So what they started doing the sharecropping, right? All other kind of vagrancy laws started to come out. In fact, I'm going to show y'all some of the court documents as far as those vagrancy laws and how they were locking people back up, and how the 13th Amendment, although the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, it was still acceptable if you was in prison. So you cannot put nobody in slave labor unless they were in prison. So with those vagrancy laws, a lot of those laws was put into place to get newly freed slaves, put them in jail so they can go right back to being slaves. And did y'all know that Mississippi didn't actually ratify the 13th Amendment to the year 2010? All of the other states, they had ratified it. Mississippi was the last state to ratify the 13th Amendment, and they didn't actually do that until the year 2010. But by then, it was just symbolic, them doing it anyway. There's like, oh, you know, we never ratified the 13th Amendment. The largest state as far as slaves went. Okay, but that's a whole nother thing. But anyway, so after that, so you had 1934, you had the Federal Housing Administration. Somebody read those bullet points for me, Baba Cashapp.
1934, Federal Housing Administration refused to insure mortgages in and near African American neighborhoods. Redlining.
Right, so that's what redlining was. When brothers hear about redlining, and Shaquat had brought out an article where he was talking about reparations, right? About reparations out here in California. They're talking about giving reparations to African Americans who were discriminated against in housing, in the housing markets. We'll never see that money. I'm not gonna hold my breath waiting on that. But anyway, so that's what redlining was. Redlining was in fact, they went on a map and they drew out red lines around the neighborhoods, around the districts where Black people, African Americans, so-called, could not purchase land or homes in these areas. Read that.
Right. Next one. White families were able to increase wealth through home equities. They were able to leave wealth to their children.
Right. So through a lot of wealth that people are able to generate, or that many of these other nations have been able to amass, has been due to homes, right? Due to the equity in their homes. Now, we weren't allowed to purchase homes. We weren't allowed to purchase land or any of that, right? Again, they put us in the worst neighborhoods. They wouldn't allow us to go and buy a home in a so-called white neighborhood, right? And if one of us were able to get over there and buy a home, the property value dropped.
Yep.
Right? So they didn't want us moving into their neighborhoods. It was all kind of they prevented that. And so anyway, so going back to wealth, so a lot of these Edomites were able to amass large amounts of wealth through homes, right? Through home equities. Out here in California, there's been homes that people have bought for like $200,000. Those homes now today are worth like $700,000. Wow. That's $500,000 surplus.
Salakia.
Go ahead.
So you're talking about redlining, right? There's this book. I don't know if y'all can see that. It's called The Color of Law, right? Mm-hmm. It talks about redlining here in the Bay Area. How exactly what Yahweh has said, how the Black people in the Bay Area, coming from, I believe it was World War II, how they couldn't buy homes here, and how the government placed them in the ghettos of the Bay Area, from Richmond, San Francisco, Oakland, Vallejo, so forth and so forth. So if y'all get a chance, man, this is a good book right here. Check it out. It's called The Color of Law.
So now again, so mind you, so now these white folks are able to pass on all this money to their offspring. We can't do that. We couldn't do that, right? So they've kept us in a cycle of dependency. Right? It says black families, for the most part, were prohibited from buying homes. So because we couldn't buy homes, because the homes that we were buying were in neighborhoods where the property was devalued, right? There was we didn't get no the cash equity wasn't there for us to be able to pass on to our children, right? Then they started doing things like creating projects, right? That was something else that started to happen. So, you know, you had the black projects because they were still into segregation. So you had projects that was built for African Americans. Then you had projects that was built for Caucasians. Now, the projects that was built for Caucasians, they were mostly, a lot of the times, you know, empty. They wasn't filled up. While the projects for the African Americans, there was waiting lists for them, right? You had to get on a waiting list to be able to get something. You know, that kind of sound like nowadays, you know, with Section 8, you know, I remember, hey, shoot, back in the day, me and my girl had applied for Section 8, and it was like a year-long waiting list. Right. A year-long waiting list, man. But these are the tricks. Like that. What's that?
I think it's still like that.
Con. All right. So now, this is going to get us to the point that I really want to hit on, and really the point of everything that we're talking about right now. The psychological operations the psychological war that is being had against our people, right? So this was an actual term that they had. This is called man in the house, right? Somebody break those bullet points down for me, Baba Cashapp.
Man in the house. A long and patronistic history of punitive regulations have dodged social welfare policies. The man in the house ruled and forced throughout the 1960s for welfare recipients and public housing, preventing adult males from residing with mothers and children who receive assistance.
Right. So if your woman was on welfare, you couldn't be in the home. Now watch this. I'm gonna play this video to show you again crafty counsel, right? So now, what do they want to do in slavery? They want to make the woman independent. You don't need that man. You're better without that man. Raise your kids. Raise them the girl to be strong. Right? Same thing. Now watch this. Let me get this video up.
Salakia, and that started like the process of basically making the men softer and making the kids, the boys softer. Demasculation, is that the word? Demasculation? Yeah, and that was the beginning of that, because if the father's not in the house, the son grows up with the mom who's, you know, had the kid will grow up with feminine tendencies.
Right.
You know, that's why we got so many rainbow brothers out there right now. Thanks. You know what I mean?
All right, watch this.
Because of the general rule that welfare is cut off if there is a man in the house, fathers are often driven away so that mother and children can eat.
85% of the head of household is a woman, because most of the men who should be in the household, they cannot make a decent living. And of course, it is better to know that a child will be fed 12 months out of the year than 3 months, which during the summer when construction work, you can make a decent living.
The man in the house rule was written to prevent welfare cheating, to make sure that aid to families with dependent children would go only to families headed by mothers. But the effect of the man in the house rule is to create for children an atmosphere of investigation and surveillance, and thus the welfare system in its operation turns out to be a system to make life harder for children.
The welfare system helps the disintegration of the American family. It offers money to families if the fathers will leave them and stay away, in that sense undoing the very stability of the family and taking away one of the two parents the children, of course, need.
All right. I want y'all to, y'all see the date on that. That was in 1973, right? So they've been systematically breaking up the black family for decades. This was planned. It's been planned. Like Willie Lynch said, you want to empower the woman, and Shaquat, like you just said, demasculate the man. Right?
Salakia, Adawan. I didn't mean to cut you off, but did this reporter just say that in order to keep the family from going down more, they have to, and the man's not going to be, they have to give this support for the woman, almost as if if the man wasn't there, or that in order for the black family to exist and to thrive, the black man can't be in the house. That's what it sounded like he was saying to me. Maybe I get it wrong. I don't know if anybody caught that.
That's what he said.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me.
That's crazy.
That's exactly what he said.
That's crafty as hell.
He said it was gonna help the black family.
Yeah.
Right.
and the thing about it is, the key word is family. Mm-hmm. And last time I checked, that was the man and the woman.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
God. That's wild. You know, there's a movie that came out. You said this particular broadcast was in 1973. There's a movie that came out in 1974 with James Earl Jones and Diane Carroll. Claudine. Yep. Yeah. Claudine, that shows exactly how this kind of, how it went about. Just want to say that.
And if y'all ain't seen Claudine, go check Claudine out. It's an old school movie.
Oh, it's a good movie too. It's good.
But it's a good movie. That's a classic. All right, go check Claudine out, man. Real talk. But so that was the men they call it man in the house, right? But really it's man out the house. Go on, nigga. You can't stay here. We don't want you with the home. We don't want you showing these young boys how to be men. We don't want you to be the security for this family. Right? We want the black woman to be independent. We want the black woman to feel like she don't need you. She's better without you.
That's right.
She gets. I get more money if you ain't in the house, or they go pay my rent for me if you're not here. And then. So look, I'm just gonna keep it all the way 100. You got sisters going out having multiple kids so that they can get a larger Section 8 voucher.
God.
Tell me that ain't bad.
And more income tax money.
And more income tax money. And you always know once income tax season roll around, when everybody start coming out, we talked about this the other day. They got the 24s on the whips. You know what I mean? They tailored down.
Got the Gucci, the Fendi,
man,
the Balenciagas, them ugly ass shoes.
All that.
Terrible, man. Terrible.
Salakia, I done had this debate plenty of times. And they'll say, oh, it's more white people on welfare than black people. That may be true. But percentage-wise, you might have 70% black folks on welfare and like 10% white folks on welfare. You know what I'm saying? That's that psychological warfare, because they'll sacrifice a few of their people to get the majority of ours. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I yield on that.
I'm glad you said that though, because I ain't put the slide in here today, but I was going over the percentages of people living below the poverty line or at the poverty line. And so, like you just said, we account for only 12% of the total population of the United States of America. The total population in the United States is 331 million people in this country. It's only, I think it was like 61 million so-called African Americans in the country. We only account for 12% of the population. But poverty, when you look at who accounts for the higher percentage of people living below poverty or at the poverty line, we are 19%. We account for 19% of that. 19% of the people who are living in poverty or at the poverty line is comprised of us. It's us, it's Issachar, and it's the Native Americans, right? Us three make up the highest percentage of people that are in or living in poverty. You know, I might bring that out for the next class. I didn't include that in these slides. Right. So now going into the single parent households, right? Because now they done kick the man out the home. Sisters don't want the man in the home because now they can get all their government programs. They can get their food stamps. They can get their Section 8. Right?
Salakia.
Yeah.
Salakia. When you hear the woman say that the man ain't trying to work, do they realize when they on these programs that if they just got off the program, the man could work together? So when you hear our sister talking about, I know like back when it started in the 70s, a lot of people were thinking, oh, well, y'all man wasn't trying to work. No, it's because y'all were choosing the white man's welfare over us.
Right.
And that's what it was. Y'all chose that. Y'all made the choice to push the man out because you wanted to get that assistance. So
right.
A lot of times our sisters don't want to take accountability for that, because that kind of rubs me the wrong way when I see a lot of our women say that about some of these men out here, because some of us men are trying to do what we got to do. You know, not trying to throw salt on the women, but that's a reality that we got to that our people need to understand. You know,
right.
it was them saying, it was almost like Eve being beguiled in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
That's what welfare did to our sisters. Not you.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. And not to mention, so let's add in now. And I want y'all to follow me on this. So back in the days in high school, what did they have? They had classes like auto shop, wood shop, things that would teach brothers a trade. I'm from Detroit, right? Motor City. We had, Chrysler, Ford, we had all these factories out there in the D. But what did they start trying to do? They start trying to get our men to move away from acquiring a trade, learning how to be a plumber, learning how to be an electrician, right? Learning how to be a mechanic. If you go into the hood, you still will see, it's old heads, still working on cars. But as far as young men go, you really don't see that. At least I don't. Not in the streets that I'm in. They're not teaching us about becoming skilled in a trade anymore. Now you see all these other stupid things in school. They don't teach us about how to balance a checkbook. Oh, we don't use checkbooks no more. But anyway, balance your account. They're not teaching us things like that. Or they don't teach things like that. And really, it's not, we shouldn't leave that to the school systems to teach our kids anyway. We should be teaching our kids that. We should be going over finances with our kids. Right? Those are things that we are supposed to be doing. But anyhow, going back to the slide. So we got single parent households now. And there was just a statistic that I looked at here a couple weeks ago where it's talking about if a kid grows up in a single parent home, but it's with the father, that kid is more likely or less likely to end up in jail. I forget the total overall percent, but it was really substantial. I'm going to grab that article and I'm going to pull that out. But a kid has a better chance by growing up in a single parent household with the father. So to all you sisters who are keeping your kids from their daddies because you're upset, because you're mad, 6 Mile, all right, sis, I see you. Kind. Hey, my daddy, he had a church on Van Dyke. But anyway, sorry about that, Salakia. But so to the sisters who are keeping their kids from seeing their daddies, stop doing that. You are damaging that kid's life. You are damaging their chances. And that's not to say it ain't some no good niggas out there who ain't stepping up and being a father. I'm not saying that, but for the ones who are, who fight to be in their kid's life, you are damaging that child by keeping them from their father. You would be better off letting your child go live with their father and you have the weekend visits. That's what the statistics are showing, are saying. Oh, Con, you're on Van Dyke right now. Okay, Con. In fact, when I get back out to the D, I'm going we'll have to link up or something. But anyway, so let me go to the next slide. All right, so who's raising the kids, right? If it's a single parent home, the mother's in there, 9 times out of 10, the mother got to be doing, unless she just totally lives off of her kids, which I've seen some no good women, low down women do stuff like that, just live off of their child, get the child support or get whatever assistance that they need. They ain't working, they ain't doing nothing, right? But if the sister is working some type of job, who's taking care of the kids? Where the kids learning? Who's giving the kids the instruction? Right? So we got the public schools, right? And then what else? Right? The television. Now, back in the day, they used to call it TV programs, right? Somebody read that for me, right underneath that.
God, who then is raising our children? Public schools, television, TV programs, Webster, a plan of action.
So the programs, we wanted to get what the definition of a program is, right? All right, read that.
Webster, a plan of action to accomplish and specified in.
All right, so a program. So when you got your kids watching TV programs, television programs, it's called program for a reason, because they are programming your kid's mind. Psychological operation.
Slakia, real quick.
Speaking
of that, right? Speak like today, they pushing the agenda of the LBGT, the alphabet community, right? And they got what is it called? Cross dressers, transgenders, or whatever they call, right? Reading like the gay BCs. There's a book called the Gay BCs, and they reading this stuff to our kids in libraries and and drag queens. That's what they call drag queens, right? They letting drag queens come in the library and read to our kids. They're doing shows. They're doing all kind of stuff in our kids, and that's programming the kids today to be like, oh, it's cool to be like this. It's cool to be like that. You know what I'm saying? And that ain't cool. That ain't cool, especially where I'm at. They trying to pull that, but it's been a lot of back and forth with the parents and stuff. But I'm gonna yield there.
Con. So TV programs, right? Like you was just saying, I mean, it's so much programming that's going on right now, right? The GBCs. So we got all this programming that's aimed at your kids because they don't want you. They want the next generation. They want the young generation, right? And every year, these generations are getting worse and worse and worse. And so I just threw up a couple of pictures on this slide, right? As far as how we are depicted in the media, because again, it's a psyop, right? They don't show us on television. They don't show black doctors. They don't show black lawyers. They don't show black what's the people that build stuff? Engineers, right? We don't see black engineers. We don't see none of that. What we see the athletes and we see the entertainers.
Mm-hmm. And
even in the programs that they're giving us now. So when I was a kid, I watched things like the Cosby Show, right?
Different world,
right? A different world.
Mm-hmm.
When you see brothers and sisters going to college, right? You see the father in the home, you see the mother in the home. Hey, Bill was a doctor, Dr. Huxtable.
Family
right?
matters.
Family matters. Come on.
Yep.
We're not seeing programs like that no more. Now what do we got? What's that? Love and Hip Hop. Those are the TV programs that our people want to watch now, that we're turning on. Living Single. Right? Those are the programs. Hey, I'm going to take you back even further. Good Times. Hey, if y'all put a 7 in the chat for me, if you remember or if you watch the show Good Times. Let me see some 7s in the chats. I know I probably just super dated myself.
Y'all about to date yourself. All the OGs about to put a 7.
Yeah. I watched it.
Right. Hey, we don't got shows like that anymore. And even though, and mind you, hey, they was in the projects in Good Times.
And they made it look good too.
And they made it look good.
Yeah, it was good times.
Hey, you remember when Michael painted the picture of Black Jesus?
God.
Right? Hey, they're not putting shows out like that no more. Right? Now this is what we see. I grew up on Pac. Right? He was one of my favorite rappers. He was he was revolutionary. But at the end of the day, he was on the same stuff that everybody else is on. Right? You got the Meg Thee Stallions. Our girls is watching that. Our girls is watching the Cardi B's. Right? And that's what they emulate. That's what they want to be like. They want to be like Cardi B. They want to be like Meg Thee Stallion. They want to be like these 3 chicken heads sitting on the sofa. I remember Shaquat, you talked about that this Netflix show. Was that Cuties?
Oh yeah.
Right? With all these little girls doing provocative moves. It's supposed to be a cheerleading show. right? I got Twister down there in the bottom corner. You know, that's the type of music that I grew up on too. You know, but that's what a young me, that's what I was idolizing. That when I stepped out the house, I didn't think about, oh man, how can I better my community? When I stepped out the house, I wasn't thinking about a 10-year plan. Shoot, my 10-year plan was I wasn't gonna live past 25 anyway. Why do I need a 10-year plan?
Brothers was on I wish a nigga would.
I wish a nigga would. Real talk. Brothers was on that. And real quick, just to point out the fact again, why the man needs to be in the house. So quick story, and then I'm going to put on a couple of these videos. So growing up, right, I was gangbanging. So it was one day I was walking out the house, and of course I was flying my colors. And so my mama's boyfriend was sitting in the house, and I don't know if my mama's in the chat or not. She said she was gonna be on, but she'll probably remember this story. Mama, if you in there, you can throw a 7 when I tell this story. But so anyway, so I'm walking out the house by my own, dip out, come back home later on that night. She comes up to me. She's like, "Hey, baby, Calvin told me you in a gang." And I said, "Mama, I ain't in no gang." She said, "See, that's what I told him. I knew you weren't in no gang." And that was the end of it. But that's why I needed a man in the house. If I had a man in the house to teach me and to show me or to raise me properly, I probably wouldn't have gotten half of the stuff that I was into as a kid, teenager. But that's the problem. A lot of our young black men don't have black men to show them how to be black men. The streets is raising our youth. The entertainers are raising our youth. And because we're letting the streets do it, because we're letting social media do it, because we're letting the entertainers do it, that's why we're at the state that we're at right now. All right. I want to play a couple of the real quick. Oh, did you say something? Somebody said Salakia. Okay. I'm just gonna, and before I do that, I gotta put up the disclaimers, and I forgot to put the disclaimer for last time. Before I play these videos, it is strictly for educational purposes. All right, strictly for educational purposes. Where that at? All right, so let me put up the disclaimer. Hey, is it playing? Okay, yeah, there it is. So, and this is so we so y'all can see like what these kids are listening to, the type of music that they get into. Who remember way back when Al Gore and what's that other woman's name? She was in Congress. They was trying to stop gangster rap.
I know what you're talking about. I forget her name though.
Damn.
I can't think of her name neither.
Yeah.
Start with a D, don't it?
Dolores Tucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, Con. Hey, if y'all remember that, Dolores Tucker, when she was trying to when they was going up against gangster rap and they was trying to stop gangster rap and they was trying to censor it. Hey, throw a 7 in the chat if you remember that. Them trying to censor gangster rap. All right. We need that. We need to stop this music, this destructive music that's going out and that's infiltrating the minds of our young men. Right? So I'm gonna play this video. I ain't gonna play it for long. And Salakia for the language, I'm letting you know right now ahead of time. There is some language in it, so Salakia for that. But this is for educational purposes. Let's get that up. All right.
Big niggas hoes, you know, I know he think he slick, I know he told. I'm on the road, still told he told. My gun be high, your shit be cold. If you get caught, you better not fold. He had a case, his bond on hold. He still locked up, it's taking long. She wanna know when he coming home. See, shit'll get real. You ever been on the drill? When knowing you shot, got killed. I'm just keeping it real. Have you ever been in the car with your homie who don't got the wheel? He can't slide, he need him a pill. He a bitch, it is what it is. That's your man, you tryna uplift. But when it's what time, niggas ain't gonna do shit. The niggas ain't sliding no more.
All right, that's enough for that. So, and real quick, so that dude right there, if y'all don't know who it is, the brother is no longer in the land of the living. The brother is deceased. She's sister said, Dolores Tucker's from your hometown. Con. Yeah, that but the video that we just played, again, that brother's deceased. He is no longer in the land of the living, and he died just the way he lived. Right? He rapped about gun violence. He lived gun violence. Brother, young brother, talented brother, could have been anything with the proper guidance. That brother could have been anything with the proper guidance. But he didn't have that. Why didn't he have it? His father was taken from him. His father was killed, murdered. Right? So we got a generation just passing on negative, bad behavior. Right? Like Shaquat said earlier, if you got a mother who's twerking, who's going to the club, 9 times out of 10, her daughter gonna be that same way. You got a father who's selling dope in and out of jail, gang banging, 9 times out of 10, his son is going to be the same way. We have to break this cycle. And the only way it's going to be done is through the Bible. To turn it back to the laws and the statutes and the commandments of the Most High. Right? I'm going to play one more. Now, the next video, the young man whose video I just played, he actually put a hit on the brother who I'm about to play right now.
Hey, Salakia, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too busy. Hey, that's a very true statement. She said 9 times out of 10, the son will turn out gay. If they living with their mom, right? If I'm not gonna say 9 times out of 10, right? But I'm gonna say you either gonna be real feminine, have feminine tendencies, or you gonna be gay.
Yeah, that number is rising.
Yeah.
It may not be 9 out of 10, but it's getting there.
Definitely.
Yeah, and Salakia, yeah, I'm not gonna say 9 times out of 10 neither, because I was raised in a single parent home with just my mother.
That's right, me too, man.
Right. And
I guess we anomalies, man.
Yeah, same here. We all ain't that something though? All single parents.
Right. That's the curses. But watch this. I'm only gonna play a little bit of this one.
Let me hit that wood, bro. I said, kick on him. If we ever said it's up that bitch, I swear to God we mean it. We already in hell, bitch, since 12 we been demons. Ever since I signed the deal, all these bitches on my penis. Boy, you ain't gonna squeeze it, you around for no reason. Boy, what block you from, let
to know so we can spend it. Made Chicago legend shit, that was just about business. Said I won't go this to dead, and okay, I did it. But nigga, fuck T-Roy and OD, them dead bitch. You heard about J Money? Yeah. Niggas getting dead the same way. Bitch, don't play with gang. You don't want Lil Bro in your gang way. I know you heard about Lil Bro, yeah. They let me sit out tight. Bullets was hitting him, he was singing like Mariah, yeah.
All right, that's enough. Now, with that one, so a lot of people said like this song right here is the reason why he ended up getting killed. So the track before that one, the guy's name is King Von. He's the Chicago Brothers. He was murdered a couple months after this dude was murdered, right? But that song that we was just playing, he raps about the dead partners of King Von, of his ops. You know, that's what everybody want to be on now. Oh, the ops, right? So he made a whole diss track talking about dead ops, right? And that's the disrespect that these young people is on nowadays. It's become a thing to rap about the ops' dead partners and disrespectful with it. So now again, from what I heard, and I ain't in the streets or nothing like that, but from what I heard, that song right there was the main reason why they killed him. I ain't gonna say it was the only reason, because from what I heard, they had been trying to get him. But after he put that song out, the other dude, King Von, put a couple stacks on his head, and he was murdered in broad daylight in a prominent shopping community. So now you done lost 5 brothers total. Him, who's dead now, the 4 brothers who did the hit, their lives is done. They not getting out of jail. Because, hey, the feds is in on that one. They trying to hit these brothers with the RICO. So 5 brothers' lives is gone. And at the end of the day, who's satisfied with it? Who's okay? Esau is okay with it. Esau done got 5 for the price of 1.
Slakia.
Come on.
And they push this, you notice in a lot of those videos, you see a lot of our young brothers holding that money up, right? And you just said something that, King Von put some money up to have a brother killed, right? So that's propaganda in itself right there, thinking that this trap rap or whatever you call it, this, what is it called, drill rap, whatever the case may be. I mean, I'm an OG. I don't know all the new terms, what they call.
The Chi, ain't you?
Huh?
You from the Chi, ain't you?
I'm about an hour and a half from the Chi. I'm
Okay,
in Indiana. Yeah, but I got a lot of family there, so I'm very familiar with the Chi. So the fact that them holding that money up, and every video you see them with stacks of money, holding it to their ear and holding it up like this, right? At the same time, they'll take all them white faces to kill their own brother.
Right.
See what I'm saying? The mind is gone. You propagate that we can get money, you can get rich, but you're using that and propagating it to your folks, and then telling them that, yeah, I'm gonna get this nigga popped off, just to glorify and all them white faces in your arms.
Right.
That's wild.
So, like, it just seems like brothers don't even have nothing to live for anymore. You know what I mean? Like they, obviously they just don't care. So, why even bother trying to do better with my life if I know I'm not going to see 25, 24? You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get all the money I can while I'm here. Take the pictures with the money. You ain't got a pot to piss in, but you got all the money, right? Right? And, try to show people I got the money, I got the jewelry, I got the Balenciagas on with the tight ass ripped jeans and
Salakia. It got all that, but then when you go to where they live at, their apartment, they got a couch with a TV on a little box stand,
TV
a mattress on the floor, TV on the floor, right? But got a BMW sitting outside. Got a Maserati sitting outside, but you're in an apartment with a mattress on the floor.
You know, E40 said it best, man. You got to buy a house before you buy yourself a car.
Come on.
They don't know about that, but you know. They don't know about that. But yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy.
So yeah, so with that, man, you know, again, I didn't want to be long with this one. We did go a little bit long though. So I apologize, especially to my fam out there on the East Coast. But the whole thing is, yo, we got to come out of it. We got to come out of this system that teaches our young people to destroy themselves. That's what it's teaching. We have to be more instrumental in the young kids' lives. We have to be more instrumental in hitting the streets. And of course, giving them the word. Hey, but really, you know, lately I was, you know, in the book of Matthew, and I was reading, seeing, you know, of course, y'all familiar with the story, Yahushua breaking the bread. He got the bread, he got the fishes, right? And he's feeding the people. You know, I'm really like on that mindset right now to where we got to be out there feeding the people as well too. Right? Yeah, yes, we got to give them the word. But you know what? Someone who's full go listen a little bit better than someone who's hungry. You know, so at the end of the day, we got to reach the youth. We got to reach the youth because the devil is after the youth. The devil is after my daughters, my son, your daughters, your sons. The devil is trying to get them. Right? And just like it says in Judges, in fact, somebody grab me that real quick. Judges 2. Judges 2, and I want verse 11. Or not Judges, Salakia. Joshua. Give me Joshua 2.
You said Joshua 2 and 11?
Yeah, give me Joshua 2 and yeah, give me no, Salakia. Not 2. Give me no, Salakia. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Because I don't feel like finding it right now. But anyway, we got to teach our youth. Man, we got to we got to reach out to our youth and we got to bring them up, right? By any means necessary, right? By any means necessary, we got to reach the youth, right? So if that's if we, you know, we out here in Cali, so we still see, you know, a lot of memorabilia of the Panthers, the Black Panther Party, right? What was the Panthers doing? They was putting together programs for the people. But the only thing that the Panthers weren't doing, they didn't have the Most High behind their movement. They didn't have the Most High behind that organization. We got the Most High behind us, right? That's our foundation. So with that, man, we're going to shut it down. Again, this has been Wild Out Wednesday. Again, the water, everyone for joining us, for tuning in. Any brothers got anything to say?
Yeah, I really got nothing to say. Oh, don't forget, if you want to celebrate Passover with us, man. It's gonna be out here in Atlanta. Send us an email at AnointedHOS@gmail.com. Make sure you guys check out the other shows. Tomorrow we got Thursday Night Live, Saturday Morning Brew, and Monday with Milk Mondays. So make sure y'all check those out. And that's all I got, man. Shalom. Oh, last thing. If you want to prospect for us, man, send us an email, AnointedHOS@gmail.com. That's it.
Salakia. I want to end with our credo, Daniel chapter 7 and verse 18, and it reads, "But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever." And with that, I say, Shalom.
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 This is not a test.
Black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin,